I have the dial indicator set up on the machine chamfer on the inside of the spindle of the back end of the Logan lathe. So what I have here is it's actually about 1,000th run out, 1,000th run out, and you can probably see that pretty well. So it's really not too bad, and I can live with 1,000th actually. So, and I've taken the nut that I had on here. So, and I've played around a little bit. If the nut is too tight, it does kind of bind up the bearings a bit, but it can be pretty snug, and so it really just holds the gear on, I do believe. I don't seem to have too much any end play without the nut. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of making a brass piece. So here you can see this machine chamfer on here. What I'm thinking of doing is making a brass piece that will have a chamfer on it that will engage with that chamfer. And then the idea of the chamfer will be a close tolerance, so it's a sliding fit of the collet tube. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this nut. Well, we won't need the set screws anymore. And thanks for everybody's suggestion about the set screws, about putting balls or things like that. But I really like to get rid of them. So a few viewers have chimed in a few ideas, and I'm thinking if I can make something like a kind of a heavy washer that goes in here that engages with the chamfer when I tighten this up, when I tighten this nut up to hold the gear in place. Then the tube will go in and align hopefully within 1,000th or so, maybe 2, but because there has to be some sliding clearance, and that will align with the spindle though. That's what I'm going to try. I'm going to try that. That's where I'm going to go here before I do much. And there were some thoughts about changing the way this arm, making this arm longer, and getting the engagement arm for the collet, for the closer, more at 90 degrees when it closes. Instead of being way back at a back angle like this, be more at 90 degrees. So if I made this longer, I'd have to make a new bar, but not unreasonable to do. This is just like 3/8 stock. So we can make a new bar a little longer, get that more at 90 degrees, and we'll do the new engagement washer, we could call it. Anyway, that's where I think I'm going to go with it. We're going to give that a try and see how we improve it or not. This is the setup I did to check if the dogs on this, the indexing part of the collet closer, to see if those dogs were in the center of the piece. They're off by about 1,000th and a half. What I did is I clamped on a parallel across one side of the dogs, then ran the indicator across until it was level with the plate. Then I rotated it, flipped it 180 degrees, put the parallel on the other side, and left that setting at 0 from the other measurement, from the other side, and ran it across here until I had this level, and I was 1,000th and a half low. So that's how much the dogs are off of center. Got the ring in here, and we're gonna put a couple dog slots in it. Alright, we're trying another idea on the collet closer. Here's my nut again. What I did is I opened this up to 1 3/4. So the indexing pin plate, whatever we want to call this, will slip in here. There's I give it a few thousandths of clearance, so we can actually, if we have to use set screws to center it up, we can. And after some reading the comments and talking to a couple people and stuff, and there is a machined chamfer in here, and the best I could do is tell it's 30 degrees, so I made this at 30 degrees, this little brass ring. Now this brass ring is just enough to slip over the tube, so it slips freely, but it's just a couple thousandths clearance, so that can kind of center up on that. Well, this fits inside of the nut, right? So we're going to slip the nut on there. That way nothing is dogging on the nut anymore. This is going to dog into this, and so when we lock the collet, this will push up in there tight. So this all slips right in there, just like that. The tube slips in, hopefully. So now I got to close the cover, so I just did that so you can see everything. And we'll close the cover and we'll put it together. I'm gonna have to readjust this now. This is I'm thinking that this might have been actually more closer to what the original was, because I'm going to be closer now to the set screw holes that were in the tube. This is going to have to move closer since we moved this whole thing in by about 3/8 half an inch. We've moved this whole thing in, so and then that's going to help also with our angle of the handle. That just slips in nice, engages into the brass piece. That will go up there. And get a collet started. Because what I can do, so I could put set screws in here, use it for centering, but they can lock onto this. This would then be attached and centered to the spindle, which would alleviate any play. Of course, I feel very, very little now in all of this. Alright, I loosened the 3 set screws and got this piece here, the dog piece, 1/16 of an inch gap or so, and I'm going to tighten it up there and see how that is. I want to thank Rupert Powell. He sent me an actual video of his collet closer, and I completely forgot about the collet closer on the clausing lathe I have, and I went and looked at it, and it's very similar to Rupert's. But thank you, Rupert, over there in the UK, for sending me a video of his. That helped give me some ideas. All right, I think we got it here. I've got this screwed in and locked. Now, somebody also mentioned about the set screw sticking out here. I didn't have enough room on the thickness of this piece here to countersink that. But now, since I'm in a better positioning, as you can see here, there's a lot more clearance here. I could make this remake that and make that a little larger and all that. But this set screw sticking out won't be a problem. You don't put your hands back here anyway. But now we're not so over at an angle. We're only about 15 degrees off of 90, so that's even better. Oh, this is going to work good. Alright, so guess we ought to turn it on. See what we did. Okay, let's try it. Oh, look at that. That is basically zero run out there. And that's without doing anything as far as adjustments or anything goes. Just put it together. And that's the way we want it. And tight, I can undo it, put another piece in, lock it back, it stays the same. See, that's where there was, every time you unlock it, lock it, I would end up with run out, sometimes not. Oh, look at that. I think we got it, guys. I think we got it. Oh man, should have done this a long time ago. Man, that's perfect. That is just perfect. Thank you again to all the viewers for your helpful suggestions and getting me to this point with a Collet Closer, and that's perfect. I think, like I said, I think we're way closer to how it probably was in the very beginning. And somebody had to modify it, or they came up with different ideas or something. Actually, let me turn this off. I'm wondering that this piece here might have had the cone shape on it, because it looks like somebody machined those little dogs in this. And if this had the cone shape on it, it might have wore out. Who knows what it did? Maybe they didn't like it. But now we have the cone shape back in there, and this works just phenomenal. Put the guard back on, and I'm good to go.